Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ParaMindful. I'm one of your co-hosts, Melball Collins, and over there is the man with the sultry voice, Karl Karofel. We are missing our werewolf this week as he has been called out for emergencies. Here in Alberta, most of our province is on fire, in case you didn't know. And Alex has a job that helps deal with those fires, sort of, in a way. He prevents things from blowing up, essentially. So he's out there, saving lives and, doing the better public service there. But Karl, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I have no complaints. No complaints
Excellent.
at all.
Excellent.
And how are
Enjoying the heat
you
so
doing,
far?
Mel?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. I rocked a really good shoulder back day today, and even though I could barely move afterwards, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty jacked, just like
Good.
Jackdo on
Good.
NJPW, just jacked. And we've
Awesome.
got some fun stuff to talk about today, my friend. Wow, we've been having some fun stuff with the Paramindful kind of series here, but without Alex, we are going to get into some interesting little things here that before we kind of regroup again and get back into our fun little subjects, more little subjects here. But Karl, we wanted to talk today a little bit about our portals, gates, haunted locations, some more spooky ooky ish. And you've got a lot of information here on some of these portals and gateways into our dimension. Let's get into it.
Sure. So it's something that has been around for such a long time, and a lot of people even know what they are and have probably even participated in dealings with portals
Mhm,
or gateways or vortexes, whatever you want to call them. So
mhm,
to give people a little bit of a background, a portal is believed to be a gateway to another plane of existence, linking the physical with the existence that ghosts and other paranormal entities inhabit. So, a vortex is the allowance of spirits and other spiritual beings to travel through into our world and are frequently blamed for increases in like paranormal activity, normally called like a portal haunting is a big word that if you watch any of the paranormal television shows,
mhm,
that's a word that you'll probably hear quite a bit is a portal haunting. So these ideas are not new. They have been
mhm,
around for ages, but the way that they open and behave is really just subject to your own opinion.
mhm,
It's still a world of unknown, as a lot of the paranormal world is, right?
mhm, mhm.
Some people say that it can happen in the blink of an eye. Other people believe that they're open all the time for entities and spirits to kind of pass through whenever they want to. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that, Mal?
Yeah, I'm remembering a lot of specifically Ghost Adventures where they talk about a lot of kind of portals and stuff like that, specifically when they bring on like psychics or sensitive mediums, people sensitive to that kind of energy. Um, they've also kind of like used various technology to kind of almost detect the energy fluctuations
Right.
in that kind of respect. From what I kind of like from what the shows kind of tell me, it almost seems like the portals need to be attached to something, whether it be like a location or a particular thing, like a mirror or like an
Mhm.
item or something like that. Or they've been formed in a location based on a ritual of some kind, Ouija
Right.
board or that kind of thing. It's always equally fascinated me and terrified me, um, just because I don't like the idea of, people coming into my place uninvited. The idea of something spiritual or probably worse, coming in also
Yeah.
equally terrifying.
Right.
Um, Very, very interesting. Carl, what do you think about those?
Well, I think it's definitely something that can happen, whether it's a a link between maybe objects, I don't know. I think maybe it's more linked to things like closets or a wardrobe,
Yeah.
chest, closet type of thing. Or,
Mhm,
as you even mentioned, mirrors. I think
mhm.
that mirrors could definitely be one of those. Um, do you ever play Bloody Mary?
When I was a kid, yes. When I got
Mm,
older and knew what that could potentially do to me, nay, nay.
right?
Nay, nay.
I'm sure all of you who are watching, who are listening, have played Bloody Mary at some point in
Mhm,
your life. Bloody Mary is just one of these ways to be part of the portal vortex conversation.
mhm,
So,
mhm,
Mel, without knowing, played it and then found out a little bit afterwards. Let's give you just a little bit of a background. So, Bloody Mary was apparently a medieval witch by the name of Mary Worth. And it's claimed that if you speak the name Bloody Mary in a dark area, that her face would appear in a mirror in which the Bloody Mary name has been chanted 3 times in succession. A little bit of a scary thing going on there,
mhm,
especially if you do see something in the mirror, right?
mhm.
I've tried it, I've done it. I've never seen anything in the mirror. I don't know if I was doing it wrong. I don't know what was going on. Did you ever see anything when you did it?
I mean, no, but I was
Okay.
also not doing it by myself. I was usually with, like, another friend or 2 of mine, and,
Okay.
like, girls, when we're together, things kinda get a little chaotic, they get a little hysterical, and usually at the drop of a hat. Um, that's usually how it was, we'd get to the 2nd Bloody Mary, and someone would just be screaming or losing their ish. So, I don't feel that I ever was given the full ability or opportunity to do this ritual properly, which I think is a good thing,
Could be.
considering what the potential, results could have been. I mean, media especially really likes to sensationalize these kind of urban legends and stories. Supernatural was one of them. I
Right.
remember it was actually the first season that they actually tackled the Bloody Mary kind of mythology there, and yeah, it's the same thing. They actually weren't hysterical and got things through, and yeah, out came the homicidal, vengeful spirit of Mary. So yeah, I didn't want to test those waters, and now as an adult, again, knowing what it is possible and sitting across from a mirror right now, it's like, nay, nay. I'm not messing with that ish. Never, never.
Turn all the mirrors in your home around or cover them up. Mirrors have
Uh-huh.
definitely been attributed to portals and vortexes over the years, dating back all the
Mhm,
way to essentially Victorian times, where seances would actually happen with a mirror to attract
mhm,
those from the other side to answer questions. So it wasn't necessarily back then about bringing someone through, it was more just allowing them to see, to be able to be seen, to answer questions. Now, that doesn't mean that it only happens during the nighttime. This is something that can definitely happen during daylight hours as well. So you never know when something could be lurking inside that mirror, inside that wardrobe, inside the closet. Definitely monsters in the closet. Definitely.
mhm,
So now I'm
mhm,
no psychic, but many psychics actually feel that they experience heightened senses around portals that they're actually like close to, they're in close proximity to. Some of the feelings include changes in temperature, increased energy in themselves, negative sensations, including weakness, fear,
mhm,
and even disorientation. So for the majority of people, really, what they kind of understand, portals are simply a gateway to the spirit realm, while
mhm,
nothing more could be further from the truth.
mhm.
Unfortunately. It would
Mhm.
be really cool if we could just say that, we could just simply believe that that's all that it was,
Mhm.
but we just can't.
No.
There's so many
No.
different things that happen that can be included with portals.
Mhm.
You mentioned artifacts, items, stuff like that. I think when it comes to portals, I think what kind of happens a little bit more with these items, not necessarily that there is something attached to it, but that they can be moved through portals, right?
Mhm.
Which is something
Mhm.
that kind of occurs often, where
Mhm.
things are just put somewhere and then move somewhere,
Yes.
or finding things like feathers that shouldn't be there.
Or doors in the middle of forests or
Doors.
staircases in the
Yep.
middle of forests.
Yep. 100% that should not be there.
No,
That's,
no.
could have passed through a portal and ended up there, right? And
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
believe that portals are real simply because of research that has been done where coins or even arrowheads have been found in areas where they just shouldn't be,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it's very unexplained. So people just kind of explain it away by saying, there's a portal. It was
Mhm.
dropped through a portal, right?
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that because recently I had been seeing videos pop up about portals and stuff like that, specifically on our planet, not just leading to other dimensions, but leading to other various parts of the world. And it
Yeah.
really made me think, a lot of movies and stuff and media, some semblance of the things that are put in our movies or medias or television shows, there's like a kernel. It might be like the tiniest kernel, the tiniest cellular level of a fact in there, but there's gotta be something that's factual in there, and thinking about these portals, do you remember the awful Mortal Kombat Annihilation movie? Where
Yes.
they went into that one temple, and they had to really fight into the depths of that temple, but in the depths of that temple, there was arguably portals. There was a track, underground track of places with this super powered ball that just you got in and you went, and somehow you didn't die
Right.
on your way there. You know, are there things like that actually on like, is that kernel of truth that came from that movie? There might be no Mortal Kombat, but there might be alternate dimensions in Mortal Kombat that we can, go into the depths of a temple and find Liu Kang.
Maybe. Maybe
I would
Sub
rather find
Zero.
Liu Kang than Goro, like, let's be real.
Right. Right.
But yeah,
It's yeah.
there's a possibility, right?
There definitely is.
Mhm.
You know what the possibility is when it
Mm.
comes to portals? When people become unalived.
Yes. Yes, especially the energy surrounding the idea of how they,
Mhm.
became unalived. If it was a violent crime, if it was, that by their own hand, that kind of thing. Um, I don't know if you're ready to segue into the topic that I had wanted to talk about. It does kind of sort of match up with this, and the topic that I had picked a bit kind of talk about today was the island of Poveglia in Venice, Italy, which arguably has its own kind of portal in itself. The island itself, just going to grab my information here on where it is. It was on the south end of Venice. I was actually very lucky when I actually stayed in Venice to see Poveglia from our rooftop. Eerie feel in that whole city in general. The area that we stayed in was considered some of the oldest area in Venice. And actually, in the place that we were staying, there was a well, an old well that was actually underneath the stairs that had been covered up.
Oh,
Um, by covered up, I mean with like plexiglass. And for whatever reason, there was a statue of the Holy Virgin Mother in there that somehow randomly turned on and off throughout the night. Very creepy. Very creepy.
like a light?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay.
suspect that maybe the person we were renting from, was coming in and turning it on. The Italians, a very, very religious, group of people, especially the older, generation, and this woman who was running this place, I am almost certain, like, helped construct the place. She was so old. So it wouldn't surprise me if she did come in and turn on the light, but, like, everything
Okay.
in this place was original and had a very kinda creepy feel to it. But getting back to Poveglia, again, we could see it from the rooftop, and you could see the lone steeple and the abandoned building on there. The abandoned building that's on there, is an abandoned mental institution that did close in 1968. But before the building was constructed on there, it was actually used, in, I believe it was 1379, for plague victims, of the bubonic plague. When the plague did hit Venice,
Okay.
obviously, you would have to remove the infected people. Poveglia was actually where they kind of stashed everybody, and, as they died and everything, there was a smaller island that was right next to Poveglia that became larger and larger and larger the more people that died, because this island was actually where they would cremate all of the bodies of the plague victims. So this island is pretty much constructed of the remains of all of these plague victims, which was in the hundreds of thousands, at
Wow.
that time. So that energy there already is just not good, because they
No.
literally took all the negative, bad stuff and energy from that area at that time and stuffed it on a tinier island. Having that many people, unfortunately pass, and for, horrible reasons, and in undoubtedly terrible conditions. Like, we can't imagine that these people were cared for once they arrived on this island. I feel like it was more of a, "You're a problem, we don't want your problem, go over there and just wait to die."
Right.
Um, which is, very sad to know. After this hospital was kind of erected, it was just kind of like problem after problem after problem with them. There seemed to be an endless kind of frequency of patients, passing away or unaliving themselves. And a lot of this came from, the doctor, who was actually in and working on this place. I'm just trying to find his name in my information right now. Uh, mm, Yeah, it's not giving me his name, it just says that he was doing bad stuff.
Okay.
Particularly, he was doing bad stuff in the bell tower. So the one solitary tower that was in there, he was actually utilizing his position as a doctor within this facility to do essentially Frankenstein-esque experiments on his, people, and, contributing to, well, just not happiness for their lives.
Right.
Definitely not doing what he was supposed to do as a doctor. It also was a nursing home and long-term care facility, as well as a mental institution. So it was just, I feel like, an endless stream of death happening
Right.
on this island. Um, it was 1968 was when they actually closed it down, after the doctor had, I would almost say mercifully at this point, unalived himself by hanging himself in the bell tower. But that being said, and tying back into what you said, the bell tower and the island that is constructed with human remains have been considered the hot spots on this island, in particular when, Ghost Adventures, Zach Bagans and the original crew actually convinced some locals to actually take them to the island and allow them to investigate. There was a lot of evidence that they actually got, from the island in particular, with movement, with people running around, with talking. It was like a focal point of activity for them,
Right.
and it was from there that they ended up going into the actual facility, and the closer they got to the tower, the more, I'm going to say, unhinged, Zach got, and it was to the
Okay.
point where, they believed that Zach was actually oppressed and borderline possessed, on this island because of the energy kind of surrounding it. Aaron actually got to the bell tower, was also being very negatively affected, being made to feel sick, feeling like he's not necessarily in control of himself. And they did catch some pretty interesting information and like EVPs at the bell tower itself. It's just a crazy situation over there. And it's to the point now where, again, the locals, they will not allow anybody to go on there. They will not go even go deconstruct the mental institution. They're just, it's still surrounded by the scaffolding that it was in the 1960s, and they
Wow.
will not go to this island, and they can't convince anyone to work there because of the terrible energy that surrounds it.
Right.
Karl, hearing all of that, what do you think about that?
That's I mean, of
Terrifying.
course, right? With so many people that,
Mhm,
suffered there,
mhm,
I'm sure there's gotta be a lot of anger from those people, right?
100%.
Um,
100%.
I like to think and maybe look at things a little bit differently. Um, I get that there would be anger. I get that there would be,
Mhm,
heartache and sorrow and frustrations that are there, but I think in the world of paramindful and paranormal and para everything, we tend to look a lot more at the negative side of
mhm,
things as opposed to maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of relief that's there.
mhm,
So maybe what these people are feeling maybe isn't necessarily anger. Maybe they're feeling a collective sigh of relief from these people who are now free, who have
mhm,
now, not suffering in that sickness that they had,
mhm,
maybe not suffering at the hands of that doctor who was
mhm,
experimenting on them, type of thing.
mhm.
It's a possibility. Probably not. It's probably a lot more of negative than positive, and I totally get that and understand that. But I would like
Mhm,
to think that there is just a little bit of positivity that could be there. And
mhm. I mean, arguably, the positivity could have been what prevented Zach from fully being possessed there, because he did get pretty all out of sorts to the point where he was punching walls, flipping out at his teammates and stuff.
wow,
Maybe there was something kind of battling with him because the EVPs that they were collecting. It sounded like there were conversations
okay,
happening between the spirits as they're kind of around them. So it was very interesting to hear the information from that one. I wish I could
mm,
find the episode a little bit easier. Unfortunately, I don't have a subscription to Discovery to go back and
mm,
watch some of those older episodes.
right,
Something else I wanted to bring to your attention is not in 2014. The Italian state was actually trying to ensure that they kind of held on to Poveglia. They don't want to kind of give it up, but there were several business people putting in bids for the island. And get this, Carl, they wanted to put luxury hotels on the island of Poveglia. Like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, Luigi. The guy's name was
wow,
Luigi Borgano. Um,
wow,
no, Luigi. No, sir. Sit down. Again, in 2015, another business actually tried to raise some money to take over Poveglia, and they wanted to change it into a public park, a marina, a restaurant, and a hostel. Um, which to me is a worse idea than the luxury hotel. I mean, we already know those elitists are going to be doing some sketchy ish, but like we,
right,
we know if we put a, I just go to the movie hostel and go, nay, nay, no, no, we're good.
right, right,
Enough has happened on that island. We don't need. anything else. Both of these have obviously been overturned by the province of Venice. They've said nay,
Hmm.
nay, sachet away. And as of 2019, no other bid has been put in to kind of occupy that land. That then the question becomes, who in their right mind would think that that's a good idea? Like, what kind of non God fearing person are you to look at that and go, oh, yeah, thousands of people, died from natural causes on there, were unalived by themselves, were unalived by other people. What it's I have the same reaction, unfortunately, to people who are like, oh yeah, a whole family was just murdered in this house, but we're gonna purchase it. Like, no. Why?
See, I'd purchase the
Carl, what do you think
house.
about that?
I'd purchase the house 100%. I would. For
Purge
for
it.
for the for the province to kind of kibosh those bids, I think is a fantastic thing.
Mhm,
But I think that the province needs to do something,
mhm.
whether it is a historical walkthrough to talk about what happened, and to maybe give a little bit of a memorial, let's say,
Yeah,
for these people, right?
yeah,
If the province could do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. I think it would be
100%.
a beautiful idea for them to do this. And
Mhm.
are we going to be able to find out all the names, like everybody who was there? No, we're definitely
No.
not. But there's no reason why we can't have a memorial of some sort
Mhm,
that's put there,
mhm,
right? Where they can have people come on and do a little tour. You don't have to go over the entire area, but you
mhm,
have, just this little area that you can walk through, make an hour tour out of it or something like that,
mhm.
and done, right? And then a boat ride back.
Yeah,
Something needs to be done though,
100%.
I think. Not just leave it sit there and crumble and be forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of feels like almost like a waste to just
Mhm.
let it sit there and do nothing. And also, like, from a spiritual standpoint, I mean, for the people who do remain there, who maybe feel trapped there, maybe a memorial thing like that, even if they aren't individually acknowledged by specific name, having people acknowledge that something happened there and that it wasn't right could make that spirits feel at peace enough
Right.
that they maybe might move on, or could even open up to the public to have mediums or psychics come in to help move some of those spirits on who are trapped, who want to move on,
Right.
and maybe some of the vindictive ones who are mean and and are causing problems. We can forcefully move them on where it is they need to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, it it's a very, very interesting, situation. I actually thought the guy had hung himself from the bell tower, but the doctor had actually thrown himself from the bell tower, as opposed to hanging, so I was
Oh,
mistaken about
wow.
that. Um, Kind of changes my perspective a little bit because, throwing yourself from something, I mean, we have seen that people will do this, obviously, there's bridges and buildings and stuff or whatever. It just seems like a very strange way.
Right.
Did he jump or was he tossed? I
Right?
guess only
Who
the guy in the
knows?
bell tower knows.
Right? Right? I mean, we have no idea at
Mhm.
all.
No, not
You
at
talked
all.
about Zach almost being, kind of possessed, being there, right? And already
Mhm.
at that time, there would have been so much negative and so much unaliving that
100%.
happened that who knows if this person was affected by something, and
Mhm,
it was not
mhm,
him who did this, but whatever was affecting him essentially made that happen.
mhm,
Wow. Okay. So
mhm,
that just puts a whole new dynamic on the entire thing. Because
mhm, mhm.
yeah.
And the doctor also claimed in his journal that he was being driven mad by the spirits in the facility. So it's like, how much of that was your own doing, Mr. Doctor, sir?
Right?
Yeah, it was a very interesting scenario out there, and a very interesting situation in regards to the portals, the gateways, that kind of thing. Because again, Poveglia is an island
Right.
surrounded by water, which is arguably in itself helps make transport of spirits a lot easier.
Yeah.
We, as I mentioned, the well in the place that I was staying before, that made me very uncomfortable because I knew that there's going to be water underneath this well. It makes it super easy for something to just come through, come upstairs and be like, "Hey, what's happening? What's
Right?
poppin'? My sleep, leave me alone." And, like, the place that we stayed in also, something you gotta remember about Venice is that obviously space is limited. It's several little islands. You don't get,
Yeah.
like, a sprawling main floor and a backyard to boot. It's everything is kinda constructed up as opposed to out.
Right.
So, we were staying in, like, a very, very large place, but it was, like, 5 floors up of
Okay.
stuff. Um, in the second floor, the ceilings were about 10 feet high. So they're very, very tall, especially in the kitchen. And something I noticed, I don't know if this was just like to make people unsettled or what, but a lot of the mirrors in this place were not at a level where normal people could look in. A lot of these mirrors were at the top of these 10-foot walls. So that in itself was like really unsettling.
Yeah.
Especially from where I was sleeping because I look up and I could see this mirror at the top of the wall and I'm like, "Why it like how tall do you have to be to look in that thing? Why is it all the way up there?"
That's weird.
Yeah, and again, the portals, the gateways. Was that mirror way up there, a way for this person who owned the place to allow things to kinda come and go as they wanted to? I wouldn't
It's
doubt
possible. Yeah.
it. At this
I
point, I
wouldn't
wouldn't
doubt
doubt
it
if she's
either.
sneaking into the house, turning on lights for the Virgin Mary, like,
Right? Oh my
Virgin Mary don't need
goodness.
no light at night. She sleeps like the rest of us.
Yep, she sure does. I'm sure she does.
I sure hope she does anyway. But Carl, what do you
Wow.
think about that in general, the information there with the doctor?
I think it's really interesting. I mean, and again, we're only going off of what we can read and what we can research and
Absolutely.
find out, and we really don't know, and we're making our own assumptions and our own deductions based off of
Mhm.
the information that we've been able to collect. But
For sure.
to hear even just during this episode to hear a little bit more of kind of explaining that even in his journals he was leaving information in there about how
Mhm.
he was going mad and how they were driving him absolutely crazy.
Mhm.
It's sad.
Mhm.
It,
Mhm.
I that's how I feel. That's how I feel right now hearing all of that. It's just
Mhm.
it's sad that this person who was a doctor who went there to try to help these people who somehow got onto the bad side. Let's call it the dark side. Somehow got over there and then started with these experimentations and
Mhm.
then ultimately came to a downfall
Mhm. Mhm.
that probably wasn't all just him.
No. No, I mean, and someone could argue, maybe he had a mental illness himself and he just didn't diagnose himself. It is a possibility. I mean, schizophrenia,
Yeah.
you tend to hear a ton of different voices, and maybe there's a matter of pride. You don't want to admit that you have a problem with like a similar problem to the people that you have spent your entire life trying to help as well. Um, that being said, though, it's sus. It's
Mm,
very sus.
Yeah.
because this is an area that was also very much known for the scrying with the water and the mirrors and stuff like that for their
Right.
seances. So, I mean, that in itself, that I have tried, and
Okay.
that doesn't it has left me feeling not okay. Like, not it leaves you feeling almost not quite yourself. Something about you almost suspends at that point if you're doing it properly, in the
Yeah.
dim lit rooms with a single candle and the quiet environment and everything. It is very, I wanna say, unsettling. It's only
Oh
something
yeah.
I've done a handful of times, and I am in no rush to want to try and do it again just because I understand how vulnerable it leaves you, to other things. Because again, it does open up something that, and not only just in the mirror or in the water, it leaves you vulnerable to something, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That's my belief, that whatever is coming through there with that openness and then with that vulnerability that you have, it can leave you vulnerable to being, bothered by it, maybe is the right word.
Right. Right.
But consistency,
Hmm.
consistent everyday practice of it. I mean, how long do you have to do it before you lose all of yourself or start losing a lot of yourself? It's a very, it can go either way, really.
It definitely can. And that's why we do these episodes
Mhm.
every 2 weeks as opposed to every week so that we don't go insane either.
Yes.
Um but yeah, like it's so I've dabbled myself as well, and I've probably done a little bit more than, let's say, you or even
Mhm,
Alex has done. I've really at times immersed myself right into the world and the culture, because I've just been very curious. I've
mhm,
grown up a very religious person, and knowing that we just came through Easter
mhm,
not that long ago, right? Where, Jesus died on the cross and then was put into the tomb, but then was gone and, like rose from the dead 3 days later. And like, so already as a young kid hearing these stories, I'm going, so there's got to be more.
mhm,
There's got to
mhm,
be something more, and I need to find this, right? And we
mhm,
believe in, like realms, right? For those who have passed away. We
yeah,
believe that it's not just heaven and hell, that there are different realms, right? Which is,
mhm,
why people talk about, oh, they came from this realm or they came from that realm, right? So, and
mhm.
I've just always been very interested going, I need to find these without being unalive,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that seems to be the hard part.
Right. But, there are people who have maybe done it. We hear a lot about like near death experiences,
Yeah, that's
right?
true, that's
And
true.
maybe a near death experience is maybe like another portal or a vortex type of situation, right? Them describing,
Mhm,
kind of seeing a white light at the end, that would kind of lead to maybe another world or another stage of their existence type of thing.
mhm,
So I mean that could very well be
100%.
something as well. But yeah, like I've dabbled myself in it and immersed myself at times that well, I've gotten myself into some pretty sketchy and hairy situations that
Yee.
thankfully I've been able to get out of and I've
Yay.
been able to grow from and learn from. That's the biggest thing. I've learned from these experiences and know my limitations now,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So
Yes, this is
don't
why I
be
don't Ouija board
afraid,
no more.
right? And I totally get that. Totally get that. I don't want people to be necessarily afraid of it because
Mhm.
if we get everyone being afraid of it, nobody's going to want to look into it and do the
Investigate, yeah,
research
for
for
sure.
it, right? So don't
Mhm.
be afraid, just be cautious as to
Yeah.
what you're doing and where you're doing and getting your
Mhm.
information from, I guess.
100%. Because typically
Yeah.
whatever you're mucking with can feel what you're feeling
Mhm.
also. So if you let them know you're scared, you kind of already are hooped.
right?
Yeah, yeah. You do have to go in with that almost like I would say the ghost adventures, no fear, no surrender. Zach
Yeah,
Bagans. Send in Aaron. Poor Aaron. Oh, it's Jay now, isn't
right.
it? They're sending
Jay
in
now.
Jay all
Yeah,
the
Jay
time now.
Wasley now. Yeah.
Poor Jay. Didn't he just get attacked by a bobcat in the Hollywood Hills?
I think so.
Yeah, and the Holly
Yeah.
Madison episode. Poor guy. I think he just announced on social media something happened to his foot. He's now in a boot.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Damn it, Zach! Stop breaking the young boys.
Right? Get in there yourself. Don't be such a grump. Just get in there and do it yourself.
Yeah, you touched Annabelle, sir.
Yes, he did.
You touched Annabelle. You
Mm,
can get attacked by the bobcat for once.
right? You touched Annabelle and survived.
And survived. Yes, because his car almost got struck by lightning like 3 days later. And
Yep.
there's that number again. The three. That it's
Hmm.
a very unsettling number. Every time it pops up, I get very uncomfortable.
Well, for you at least.
Yeah, it's the twos. It's the twos that keep showing up that I'm just
Mhm.
like, F off already. If you're gonna tell me the message, just tell me the message. Don't make me math. We
Numbers
already
don't
know
bother
Melball
me
is not good
anymore.
at math.
And
They're
just
supposed to
numbers
be
don't
angel
matter.
numbers. You
Whatever.
made me.
Yeah, right.
You know what I can't do. I clearly can't understand this. Just just tell me. Just
Uh,
in the face. Face palm me with it.
no, you don't want that either, though, because then you're going to get something that's going to come right up to your face and it's going to scare the ish out of you. And you're going to be like, no,
I
right?
already dealt with that in the last place with the thingamajiggy that liked to come in
Mm,
my face and scare me.
yeah.
Yeah. He's
Don't
been
need
coming
things
back
coming in your
around.
face.
Can hear him every once in a while in the garage, clicking on cans and
Uh,
mucking about. Can't come in here though, can you, sir? Nay, nay. Nay, nay. And
that's
that
good.
being said, Carl, it sounds like we're coming to the end of our episode here. Unless you have anything else you would like to add to the conversation about portals, gates, or Poveglia.
Oh, I think just for the portals at least, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that no matter
Mhm,
what mainstream has really brought to us, portals to hell, as Hollywood likes to put out there, really only seems to be like a possible small portion of what there actually is.
mhm,
This may
mhm,
be a more marketable answer, but we need to factor in kind of the everything that we've really discussed today, whether it's the different mirrors and the feelings that you get, and even the good things with maybe that white light and the transporting to a different world or even a different stage of existence through
mhm.
a portal. Portals aren't all just negative and
Yeah.
bad.
Mm,
Make sure that you just kind of understand what the portal is that you're dealing with. Do your
mhm.
research, and as always, be safe.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely, because we could even go further in talking about the portal ideology that kind of really started around World War II with all of these airplanes, submarines, whole
Mhm.
ships, whole brigades, whole formations, all disappearing out of nowhere and then
Yeah.
reappearing and then
Yep.
disappearing again. It's very interesting to think that these things do exist and on such a large scale, and who knows where these people might have ended up. I mean, as you mentioned, it could actually be a paradise that they ended up in. And,
Right.
despite being separated from their families and everything, they could be living the dream right now. So we got to keep in mind that, we don't know
Exactly.
where they go. So
Yeah.
it could be a good place. It really could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, we are going to lead out here. We're going to talk about our amazing sponsor, Rogue Energy, with so many different flavors. It's amazing organic, or sorry, not organic. It's vegan.
Yep.
Same-ish sometimes. They have a ton of flavors, my favorite being the blood orange. We've had a couple other people mentioning they're really, really liking a couple other flavors. Parrish mentioning the Rocket Pop has been
Yep.
his favorite, and I believe they did just restock it. Did he say that yesterday?
I believe so. Yep.
Excellent,
And Ed
excellent.
talking about watermelon. I think Ed was
Oh,
talking
yes,
about
that's Ed. Ed
watermelon.
loves the
Yep.
watermelon, yes. Yeah, my favorite is the blood orange. I can only imagine what the watermelon tastes like. I haven't tried that one, but if the blood orange tastes like you're eating a blood orange, I'm going to assume that the watermelon is going to taste the same. And the Rocket Pop, who doesn't like a Rocket Pop?
Right.
Especially in the summertime. On top of having energy, they also have protein as well as hydration. So if you're a gamer, you need energy. If you need some sustenance, you can go through this and not have to have a break after 7 hours, which is what I like to do when I'm going into a role playing game. Lose track, 8 hours there. Do we have a fun little video we want to show with our rogue energy there, Carl?
We sure do.
Yes. I forgot about the grape popsicle one, man. That one is so good. So good. It reminds me actually of my original first pre-workout that I absolutely loved, which was the Workhorse by TJ Wilson. And he
Okay.
had a grape one. It tasted like grape suckers. So good. So good.
Interesting.
This one is comparable. If anyone loved that flavor as much as I did, try the Rogue one. It is very, very comparable. We also have some pretty freaking sweet ParaMindful merch that Carl's going to tell us all about there. Carl, take it away.
You sure can. If you check out carlcarafel.redbubble.com, that is where you can go to find a plethora of different merchandise from everything Turnbuckle Studios, but also we have included that ParaMindful logo that you see up top there. That is available on t-shirts, on hats, on mugs, on travel mugs, on just a number of different things available over there that you can purchase. It is a secure website, so no need to worry about your information being stolen from you, because that won't happen and hasn't happened. Go and check out carlcarafel.redbubble.com as it is in the ticker down below.
That is good. We do not like things being stolen.
No.
We work hard for our stuff in this day and age. And that being said, my friend Carl, if the people are wanting to follow you on your social media, and what do you have going on this week?
Well, as always, I have the Monday Night Raw watch along. I have the Turnbuckle Talk podcast in video form that I do on Tuesdays. And you can find where to see all of that at Linktree, linktr.ee/Carl Carafel.
I'm going to try to put that in here.
Okay.
We got only two of us. We got a nice big space here to
Do
work with.
Huge space here for us. Mel, what do you have coming up, and where can people find you?
If you're wanting to follow a Melball, you can find me on Twitter at Collins Melball and at Melball Collins on pretty much everything else: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Mastodon. I haven't gotten my link tree yet. Carl's going to give me shit about that after, I'm sure.
It's free.
I know. And it's just like one link as opposed to multiple. I got to get on that. You can also find your girl Melball on Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk YouTube channel. We are going to be starting to upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now with the Best of the Super Juniors tournament about to start. But you can pop on there and see everything we've got to say about the Stardom Queendom review, the Wrestling Dontaku that just happened, where we saw a lot of new champions. A lot of new champions and a
Okay.
debut of a certain somebody who Melball's been waiting to see again. So I'm pretty stoked about that. You can also find me on Astro Pizzoro's YouTube on Our Ladies, or sorry, Our Ladies, Ladies Wrestling Showcase. Every 2 weeks, where we talk about all things ladies wrestling. Other than that, that's all this girl got going on for now. For now, we've got some ideas. We gotta find the confidence, and we gotta find the time.
Right.
Always the battle. And that being said, my friend, do you have anything else you want to say to the beautiful people?
I think I do. Just if you're interested in this stuff, the
Mhm,
paramindful, the paranormal, all of that, or whether you're into professional wrestling,
mhm,
video game play, movie talk, music talk, we have so much available down in the ticker below with our local establishment. Go and follow all of those different links to be notified as to when a new episode of something drops, because we have pretty much something going on every day of the
mhm,
week with our local establishment. And
100%.
if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or just looking for some general help with something that you're going through, you can always email us as well. Paramindful@gmail.com.
Mhm, mhm. Chances are, if we don't know how to solve it or how to fix it, we know somebody who does, or we can find you somebody who does. We also just like talking spooky ooky ish. That's just what it is. That's why Paramindful is here. Awesome. And that being said, I am your Melba. Over there is Carl Carufel. We will see you next time. Keep it spooky.